Welcome to the WetForm Access Desktop Quick Tour. In this tour I'll be demonstrating all the basic functionality of WetForm as well as some of the highly automated features of WetForm. To start off with, WetForm format is exactly in the format of the Corps of Engineers data forms, so you should be very familiar with that. Right now I'll be doing the demo with the Atlantic Gulf Coastal Plain region, but all the regions are very similar. To start with, we have the first page, which includes the project information as well as the hydrology information. And notice that we have 3 pages for the Atlantic Gulf Coast, and some of the other regions only have 2 pages. Page 2 is the species information, and page 3 is the soils information. So we have soils horizon information up above and the indicator factors down below. Our additional tab here, we can enter photos, we can enter extra photos, we can enter a map. Your GIS programs will typically export a clip of your site, and then you can just import that as a JPEG or some other format into the report. We have a print sort tab, so this upper part is for printing, and typically you should use a PDF printer, and if you don't have one built in, you can go get a free one called Cute PDF. And then if you have your data, and you can print all or a subset of your data. These little drop down boxes will let you create subsets of the data, so you can print out just a project, just an area, just today's samples, that sort of thing. And you can print out with photos, without photos, and any combination. And then if you want to sort your data, this will let you sort it by multiple factors, and then you can clear your sort if you need to. Then the Data Tools tab is primarily for import and export of data, but this will let you look at your entire species list and do any editing at all that you want to do on your species list. This is the landform lookup, so you can modify that as well. You can export the species list to Excel and do a lot of editing there, and then bring it back in if you want to do that. And I typically send out updates to Corps of Engineers species list almost immediately after they're released. And in that case, I will send you the new list, and you can import that into your existing data. Now we also have import and export desktop data, so you can back up your data very easily. That'll just send raw data in and out, and you can archive it and such. You can create a unique species list of all your samples, is automatically produced. This is where you import and export your mobile data coming in from a PDA or an Android device. And then, let me scroll back down. And then you have the option to delete all records here with multiple warnings, and it creates a backup file regardless. And then this indicator update. Let's suppose the Corps sends out a new species list in the middle of summer. I can send you that list, all the data you collected. After you import that list, you click this button, and it'll update all of your existing data to that new list, new indicator status, new calculations. And then we have the license. So let's get back to page 1. And note that we have drop-down boxes for some items. We have check boxes for some items. And we have yes/no logical types of buttons as well. So notice when you enter a project site, let's say we have a new site and we want to call it our new project. We'll call it Project 1. You only have to enter that and many of these other things once, because now if you look down here, we're record 1 of 1. I'm going to add a record. So now we're record 2 of 2. But notice that Project 1 has now become a member of that drop-down list. So that will happen so that anytime you enter anything in here on many of these, it will be added to the list of items. The landform list is already pre-built, but you can get to that and edit that. Also notice these yellow highlighted and orange question marks. What they are hot links to specific factors that are referenced. For example, to look at the region map, You can click that button. It'll open up a PDF file of that region so you can see what region and subregion you might be in. Notice that some of these factors, like this marl deposit, is for LRRU. So you click that button and then you can find where the LRRU is down here on southern Florida. Now the orange question marks will actually take you to the Corps of Engineers manual for that factor. So if you want to look at marl deposits, this will take you directly to that factor. Let's do that again. Get to marl deposits. And marl deposits right there at the bottom of the page there. So those hot links can be very handy. So now let's see how the logic cascades. Now watch these summary buttons as well as the wetland hydrology present button. When I click one of these primary factors, they both immediately trigger TS. And notice when I click surface water, it automatically clicks that surface water is present and prompts you for the depth in inches. So let's uncheck that and everything goes back to 0. And let's put in one secondary indicator. And notice that's not enough to trigger wetland hydrology. Now let's go to vegetation and let's feed in a species and a cover value. Now note that we have two columns here, one called SPE name and one called scientific name. The SPE name column will include not only accepted names but synonyms. So Acacia wrightii is now called Acacia gregii, variety wrightii. So if you know it by a synonym and you click the synonym, it'll fill in the currently accepted name. So let's feed in a value. Note that that's an upland, it's a dominant, and all the calculations for both dominance, prevalence, and your indicator status are calculated. Let's change this. We can scroll across here and find a FAC or a wetter species. So let's change it to a FAC or wetter species. And it does the recalculation, and notice that our dominance and prevalence are now fulfilled. So let's move on to soils. Notice in the soil section you can feed in horizon information and it's highly automated. So you can pick 0 to 4 inches, and notice the next column down will be 4 or up. And then also notice we have a model option. Suppose you have a horizon that has multiple redox colors and features. You can just hit plus model and you can add another feature, and then when you come down you can start your next horizon. So that's highly automated, including with colors, percent of your matrix, your redox features, all highly automated. And then your texture. And then you can fill in additional remarks. Now, when it comes down to the selection of the indicators, once again, by clicking 1, you can see it automatically triggers the logic. So let's uncheck that and let's use problematic soil. Now when you click problematic soil, it won't go yes unless you have both hydrology and vegetation. And at this point we do have vegetation, but we don't have hydrology. Now the FAC neutral test is also automatically calculated, so let's add a FAC wet species just to trigger that. FAC neutral. So let's add a FAC wet. Make it one of the dominants as well. And if we look back at page 1, we can see that FAC neutral has already been checked. We now have 2 indicator statuses for the hydrology, and so all the logic cascades through. So you can see how well the logic is automated. And then when it comes time to print your report, you can select by clicking in this box, you can go to your printer list and see that I've already got an Adobe PDF selected as the default printer, and then we'll print. And this will be the form, which comes out virtually identical to the Corps of Engineers forms. So that's what you'll get with that. Let's see, I think that is probably the bulk of the information. I'm frequently asked, can I actually get to the species list? And yes, you can. This is the entire list. Notice that there's 13,879 items on the list. So it's a rather complete list, but if you need to, you will be able to go to the bottom and add a species. And you can get complete access to edit the species in here as well. So that pretty much concludes the WetForm quick tour. If you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call or an email.